Good Wednesday morning, and welcome back to Commentators Corner, episode number 14. Tyler Reedy and Brendan Prizeman here with you today as we wrap things up here almost on the first semester, getting close to Thanksgiving and Christmas break, but sports not wrapped up at all. We've still got all kinds of things to talk about. The headliner has been you tying me up in the NFL game picks this past week.
Let's go, boys. We got a game again.
The Eagles-Broncos game not going my way. I picked Denver. You picked Philly. We'll get to that later, but to start things off, we'll get into college football. But first of all, how are you this week, Brendan?
Doing pretty well. Actually, slept in today. Shouldn't have slept in because it made me late for class, but
You're here now.
I'm here now.
Yep.
So, yeah. But as you mentioned, a lot of good stuff going on. We're tied up in the NFL predictions, but that doesn't mean that we will be for long. There's a lot of chaos going on in the NFL. We had a tie last week. We'll get into that in a bit. And then we got college football as well. If you want Heisman predictions, those will be next week. But in the meantime, we've still got a lot to talk about. Last week, a lot of dominoes fell in college football, starting with the one that I was rooting for to fall the most. That would be the Sooners of Oklahoma. Should have started falling after the Texas game. Unfortunately, they did not. They did fall, however, against Baylor, a 27-14 win for the Bears, in which they looked, quite frankly, dominant.
Yeah, Baylor gets the win 27-14 over 8th-ranked Oklahoma. Oklahoma's first loss of the season pushes them out of the playoff conversation unless something miraculous happens. 6th-ranked Michigan was able to pull a comeback in Happy Valley to down Penn State 21-17, keep their playoff hopes alive. They'll have the big game against Ohio State in 2 weeks. 17th-ranked Auburn blew a 28-3 lead against Mississippi State and lost 43-34. I guess the South and 28-3 leads go together because this is the second time we've seen that in 5 years. 4th-ranked Ohio State had no problems with 19th-ranked Purdue this time around, winning 59-31.
Ranking Purdue killed the magic, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. C.J. Stroud seems to be a Heisman frontrunner, at least at the top with Bryce Young. He's up there as well, Alabama quarterback.
This season, for me, has just been weird because, the Heisman race, because last year you had, Devontae Smith, Mac Jones. You knew it was going to go to somebody on the Alabama offense just because they were historically dominant. 2019, you knew it was going to Joe Burrow. Years like 2016, you know it's going to Lamar Jackson. Year like 2005, it's going to one of the USC guys or maybe Vince Young. But, this year, there could still be plenty of guys that could win the Heisman. If Michigan State somehow ends up in the top 4, I think Kenneth Walker has a chance at it. As you mentioned, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. There's any number of players that could win the Heisman Trophy. And there's any number of teams that could really sneak their way into the playoffs, including your Fighting Irish. 28-3 victory over Virginia last week. They looked really dominant in that. Another team up northeast, Michigan State, also won a 40-21 win over Maryland. Oregon kept their slim playoff hopes alive with a 34-28 win over Wazoo. And Wake Forest kept their 1% chance playoff hopes alive with a 45-42 win over NC State. So I actually really looked at it. The biggest 3 games this weekend are Michigan State, Ohio State, SMU, Cincinnati, and Oregon, Utah. Utah is favored in that Oregon game, by the way, despite being unranked.
And Oregon's 3.
It's the Pac-12. The Pac-12 has been known to cannibalize itself for several years now. And really, I don't think – have they had a team since Marcus Mariota's Oregon team? I think Washington made it 1 year and just got curb stomped maybe, but –
yeah, it was just Washington. There have been a couple good USC teams. Obviously, there was that Rose Bowl game in 2016, but that's not the playoff.
That wasn't the playoff.
That's not the playoff,
And that was a stupid game anyway. Penn State should have won that game and would have if it was McSorley, I think, at that time. McSorley hadn't been an idiot and thrown it right to a USC defender. But anyway, those are the 3 biggest games of this weekend. Personally, I've got Ohio State, Cincinnati, and Oregon. So here is how I think the playoff is going to wind up if everything happens as it should the rest of the way. Georgia at 1, Ohio State at 2, Oklahoma State at 3, Cincy at 4. I think Oklahoma State is going to be. I saw your shocked face there for a second.
Where's Oregon?
Oregon is going to lose in the Pac-12 title game.
To who?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's the beauty of the
Okay.
Pac-12.
All right.
You just know Oregon's going to lose. I think Oklahoma State is going to beat Oklahoma in Bedlam, and I think that they're going to beat Baylor in the conference title game.
That gives them a stronger resume than Notre Dame. So
Yes.
that one loss team gets in over theirs. Yeah, I'm cool with
Yes.
that. I'm cool with that.
Now, here's the playoff if chaos. So here's the things that are going to happen. Ohio State splits the games with the Michigan teams. So they have 2 losses. They're out. Michigan State, okay. So let's say that they beat Michigan State, lose to Michigan.
Okay.
So Michigan State's out. Ohio State's out. Michigan loses in the Big Ten title game. They're out.
Mm-hmm.
Bama beats Georgia in the SEC title game.
So 2 teams are in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Oregon loses.
Out.
Cincy loses.
Out.
Yes. So, here's your playoff, if that's the case. Alabama, Notre Dame, Wake Forest, Georgia.
What happened in the Big 12, did you say?
Oklahoma State either beats Oklahoma and loses in the conference title game, or Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State and loses in the conference title game.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that adds
basically,
up.
every other contender has 2 losses, and somehow we get to see an ACC champion, Wake Forest, in the college football playoff.
Or would that be something?
Oh yeah. Also, Cincy's at 5, UTSA is Cincy might be a little lower actually. But I have UTSA at either 5 or 6 in that universe as well, just for fun.
Yep. UTSA 10-0, but all the way down at number 22 in this
Ooh.
week's rankings. We'll see if they can make any kind of moves down the stretch. But yeah, certainly a lot of games that can produce chaos. Obviously, we've got the 2 big ranked games this weekend with Michigan State, Ohio State, and Oregon, Utah. And then after that, Michigan State, Michigan, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State. Definitely a lot of dominoes could fall, more than the ones that already have.
And that's before we get to the conference title.
Oh, yeah.
Any number of things could happen. Like
Absolutely.
if Bama keeps it close against Georgia in the SEC title game and loses like in overtime, do you maybe put them in over in Oklahoma State? There's so many things that could happen.
So speaking of chaos, we'll move on to the NFL, where I have blown my lead in game picks to Brendan. He got the Eagles-Broncos result he wanted. I did not, and that was all it took to get us tied back up. I actually had a losing record this week at 6-7-1. So
Oh yeah, I didn't do much.
Shame on me.
7-6-1. It's
still a winning record though.
It's a hard life out here for us NFL predictors right now. Just looking at the schedule from last week, here are all the games that didn't go as we expected them to. The Dolphins beat Baltimore 22-10 on Thursday night.
Washington, Tampa.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Washington beat Tampa. I don't think any of us expected a Detroit-Pittsburgh tie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if we picked Patriots over Browns, but I don't
Nope,
think any of us.
I didn't.
And yeah, I didn't either then. And nobody expected a 45-7 win. The Panthers over the Cardinals. That was fun to watch for Cam Newton's return, but we did not predict that. That's for sure. For certain. The Vikings beat the Chargers, which somehow was like the least crazy thing about last week.
Yeah.
We didn't predict that. The Packers-Seahawks game kind of sucked.
Underwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, we both did pick the Packers there. I thought it was going to be a little more high-scoring and a little closer, but Russell Wilson still looked a little iffy. And then the 49ers stomped the Rams on Monday night, so we don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, it's weird. It seems like every team, every top contender in both conferences is having at least 1 or 2 games where you're like, what? Who did you lose to?
The Jets.
Yep. Tennessee, who actually has the best record in the AFC now, lost to the Jets, as you said. So, yeah, anything can happen right now.
Going back through the thread of all this year, at week 1, we both went 9-7. Week 2, we both went 11-5.
Ooh.
Week 3, we both went 12-4.
We were so good.
Yeah, week 4, we went 10-6. Week 5, you went 11-5. I went 10-6. Week 6, you went 11-3. I went 10-4. So at that point, you've got the 2-game lead.
Yeah.
And then week 7 was when things started to shift. You only went 8-5. I went 9-4. So I draw back within 1. Week 8, we both had losing records, 7-8. Week 9, looks like we both went 8-6. And then week 10, 7-6-1 and 6-7-1. So it has been rough. We might end up by week 17 where we get every single game wrong because that's just the way the NFL is trending right now.
Well, we'll see what Week 11 has in store for us, starting with tomorrow night's game, the New England Patriots at the Atlanta Falcons. I think this one's a pretty easy prediction, especially with Cordero Patterson, the Falcons' Swiss Army knife on offense, likely going to be out for tomorrow night. I've got New England riding a hot defense, and Mac Jones doing what he needs to do to win games, 27-17 New England.
Yep, 34-20 Patriots. Mac Jones, he's not the most talented quarterback out of this draft class, but he's playing the best.
Yep. Buffalo, Indianapolis in Orchard Park. Bills had a get-right game against the Jets last week, coming off that ugly loss to Jacksonville. The offense steamrolled New York. Indianapolis kept things a lot closer than they probably should have against the Jaguars, those same Jaguars that beat Buffalo last week. It's another pretty easy pick for me. Buffalo at home, one of the biggest home field advantages in football. I think the Bills win 28-16.
I mean, you would think so.
Yeah.
You would think so.
You would think so.
I do think so as well.
Okay, good.
Josh Allen is better than Carson Wentz. Hopefully that'll be enough for the Bills. You never know, but I think that team is just slightly more complete than the Colts. I think they also have a higher ceiling. So Bills 31-24.
Ravens at Bears at Soldier Field. Lamar Jackson versus Justin Fields could be an interesting quarterback duel there.
Yeah.
A couple guys with a lot of mobility. Fields has shown a lot of upside early on here in his rookie year. But Ravens, I know a lot of teams are having problems and losing games they shouldn't, but it does seem like whenever teams lose those games, they've bounced back really well. We saw Buffalo do it last week, and I think other teams have done it as well in most cases. So I think Baltimore will have a pretty solid offensive day. Bears always seem to keep it close at home, but 27-20 Ravens.
Yeah, you're focusing on the quarterback matchup. I'm focused on the coaching matchup for this. It's Matt Nagy versus John Harbaugh. Heavy advantage Ravens. 27-17 Baltimore.
Detroit at Cleveland. Lions had the tie in Pittsburgh last week, and now things don't get any easier for them going to a difficult environment against one of the better defenses in the league. Cleveland, they, like a lot of other teams, need a bounce-back week coming off the horrific loss in Foxborough, and offense, I think, will continue to struggle just a little bit, but you don't need much to beat Detroit. 24-13 Cleveland.
No tie this time, but you're right that they don't need a lot of offense to get the win. I'm not sure they're going to get much at all. I've got a real fun game to watch if you're a sicko. 19-14 Cleveland.
Goodness.
And it could happen, too.
Yep, not out of the realm of possibility. It's not far off from it. I think it's only 4 less points or something. Yeah. Tennessee hosting Houston in an AFC South matchup that used to be high-quality television, but is not anymore with the collapse of the Texans. Tennessee, I mean, don't look past them. They've won back-to-back games against 2 playoff teams from last year without Derrick Henry. The Los Angeles Rams.
The easiest remaining schedule to go.
Yeah.
Like, this Texans team is far more representative of the teams they'll be facing for the rest of the regular season than a team like the Ravens is.
Tennessee 30, Houston 17. Pretty easy pick here.
Yeah, 24-6 Tennessee. This is not something I had to think very hard about.
Green Bay at Minnesota. Packers' defense has really been the story of the last 2 weeks. Held Patrick Mahomes to just 13 points, then held Russell Wilson in his return to nothing. Shutout of the Seahawks last week in a 17-0 victory. Minnesota got the big win on the road at SoFi Stadium, taking down the Chargers. However, I do think Aaron Rodgers, even with a depleted backfield, can do enough to win just about any game, and he'll continue to do it here. Green Bay defense will keep rolling, and the Packers will win 23-16.
Interesting.
Same thing?
No.
Oh,
no.
Wow, okay.
I thought that the Vikings proved a little something in that victory over the Chargers. And you said that the defense can hold it down for the Packers, but the offense only put up 17 against a Seahawks defense that really isn't spectacular. Like, nobody's claimed that the Seattle defense is world beaters or anywhere close to the Legion of Boom that they once were. Rodgers only put up 17 points. I'm like, I know he's
Does
still,
Aaron Rodgers ever really have sustained terrible production
I'm
like
not
that?
thinking he's
I
going
don't
to
think
have
so.
terrible production, but I don't think he's going to have Rodgers level production against the Vikings. I think he's still
But he doesn't need that.
not necessarily, but I think he's going to against the Vikings, and I think the Vikings are going to win 28-24.
All right, game on. Miami at the New York Jets.
Oh,
If you
boy.
pick the home team in this one, I might ask you to leave. Jets.
Wait, seriously?
You didn't pick the Jets, did you?
I might have.
Oh, good grief. The Jets just got stomped by Buffalo last week. The Mike White narrative is over. It's back to Zach Wilson.
I don't know who to pick here. Both of these teams are so awful. It's not even funny.
Miami's won back-to-back games. They beat Baltimore last week. Tua seems good enough to get the job done at quarterback right now.
Is that why they've been trying to trade him for 6 months?
I don't know. He's improving. He's improving, though, just a little bit.
Fine.
24-10 Dolphins. You did not have the Jets at first, did you?
It was a coin flip, basically.
Goodness.
They're both horrible.
You can't pick the Jets.
Fine. Dolphins 10-7.
10-7.
10-7.
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right, Philadelphia, New Orleans. Another one that could be a legitimate coin flip here. Eagles were the cause of me losing last week, so I'm not going to pick against them this time around.
Very smart.
24-19 Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts looked pretty good last week.
Yeah, 24-20 Philly. Jalen Hurts might be a legitimate NFL starting quarterback. Oh, boy. New Jets news.
Oh, boy.
They are planning to start Joe Flacco versus Miami. Does that change your pick in any way?
Nope. Can I go with 24-0, take a 1 off that score?
You cannot.
Oh, man.
But anyway, I think that Jalen Hurts might not necessarily be at the All-Pro or even Pro Bowl level yet, but he's definitely in the top half of NFL starting quarterbacks at this point. So I think that'll be enough for the Eagles, 24-20.
Speaking of mobile quarterbacks, Cam Newton, I'm back. You saw that when he scored against Arizona, and he's back at home for the first time to take on the Washington football team, who just got the big win over Tampa Bay. Carolina, I think that offense with Cam Newton, I think they'll be all right. Christian McCaffrey is healthy. DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson are out there as receivers, and obviously Cam has a ton of potential in the red zone as a rushing option, so I think that offense will continue to ascend, and they'll take down Washington 24-17.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that close. It's the return of Super Cam, and the Panthers might be able to make a late playoff push yet. 30-10.
49ers at Jaguars. San Francisco's offense looks as good as it has all season with Elijah Mitchell running the ball. Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, George Kittle proven to be effective pass catchers. Jaguars still looking for that win. They haven't pulled one off in quite some time. Well, actually, they did beat Buffalo a couple weeks ago, but aside from that, it's been since the London game against Miami. I don't think they'll get it done this week, though. San Francisco is hot, and I think they'll continue to roll. 31-13, 49ers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, chaos probably won't affect this one. Right?
I think so. Right. Hopefully not.
24-17 San Francisco.
The inter-conference games have been spared for the most part. It's mostly been
it's mostly
conference
been like
versus
weird
conference.
Games like, oh, this team's currently third in the playoff race, and this team's currently like fourth in the number one draft pick race. Yeah. Oh, look at that. The wrong team won. But, yeah, I think the 49ers should be able to pull that one out.
Bengals at Raiders. Cincinnati coming off a bye. Vegas coming off an ugly, ugly loss to Kansas City on Sunday Night Football. I think it's going to be pretty close, though, but Joe Burrow and company will do enough to get the job done. I don't think the Raiders' defense will be able to match up to them quite as well as teams like Cleveland have. So I think it'll be 27-24 Cincinnati.
I agree with you that the Raiders' defense isn't going to be enough to hang with them. I also don't think the Bengals' defense is going to be enough. I've got 29-27 Las Vegas.
29, all right.
Yes, so I had a lot of fun with coming up with numbers for this.
So that's 2 games. We've got the Bengals game and the Packers game we're different in. So keep an eye on those ones. Still 4 more to pick, including the headliner of the week, the Cowboys at the Chiefs. Kansas City, are they back? The question might be actually legitimate this time as they just pulled off the huge blowout win in Vegas on Sunday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes had easily his best game of the season, throwing for 400-plus yards and 5 touchdowns. Dallas, however, after losing the ugly game to Denver 2 weeks ago, had a massive pounding of Atlanta last week. So both these teams are hot. Now they meet at Arrowhead. It's the Fox game of the week. I've got Kansas City 30-27. I think the Chiefs, they've made this kind of run before. I think they might do it again. And I don't know. If they beat Dallas, I don't see them losing the game the rest of the year. Because if they beat Dallas, that's confirmation that they're back.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think they can keep going back and forth, win-loss this late into the season. I think it's got to turn at some point, and this is it.
I agree. I've got 31-28 Chiefs. I just think that at the end of it, Mahomes is a little bit better than Dak Prescott is, at least right now. And it's going to be the win for the Chiefs, 31-28.
Seahawks hosting the Cardinals. Kyler Murray's health is still up in the air. Russell Wilson trying to bounce back and get himself back to 100% after the ugly loss in Green Bay last week. Now, I'm going to ask you here before I make my pick.
Mm-hmm.
Since it's only Wednesday and we're doing these picks now,
Yes.
Can we do a contingency type of thing where I say if Kyler Murray plays, Arizona wins. If he doesn't play, Seattle wins.
I mean,
Can I do that?
I was thinking the same thing.
Okay.
So, yes.
So, yeah, I'm going to...
We are both going to say our picks are dependent on Kyler Murray's health. I personally think that the Cardinals could win without him, but I don't think they will.
Yeah.
So, if Murray plays, I've got Cardinals 28-17.
Yep. If Murray does not play, I've got Seattle 26-17. If Murray does play, 27-19, something like that. So, yep, same thing there. Chargers and Steelers on Sunday Night Football. When was the last time you saw a Chargers home game on Sunday night? But it's at SoFi Stadium, so bright lights there. Pittsburgh coming to town after the ugly game last week. We'll see if Big Ben can get back into things or not, but I don't think it's going to matter. Even if he does, Justin Herbert will bounce back. Chargers will get it done 30-17.
Yeah, the Steelers tied the Lions.
They did.
They tied the Lions, folks.
Yeah.
23-10 Chargers.
Monday Night Football, Tampa Bay hosting the New York Giants. Saquon Barkley should be able to return coming off a bye last week, trying to come back from the sprained ankle he suffered against Dallas about a month and a half ago it was now. Tampa Bay trying to figure things out after the ugly road loss to Washington, but I think they will. I think Tom Brady and the offense will bounce back from the 19-point dud they put up last week and win it 31-20.
Yeah. 24-13 Buccaneers. Tom Brady is still probably very angry about 2007 and 2011. So he's going to, beat a much, much worse Giants team pretty easily, 24-13.
Now, one thing you did want to do here relating to the NFL is some award predictions, as we've got a couple months remaining here in the regular season. So I guess we'll head into that real quick. MVP, why don't you go first since I always do game picks first?
All right. Now, this is mostly contingent on team record at the end of the year. So I'm going to take a look at the Rams' schedule, and I'm going to read off to you the games that they have remaining. They've got a bye week this next week. Thanksgiving Sunday, the day we're doing the Prep Media Day, so make sure you tune into that as well, folks. They've got the Packers in Green Bay. After that, they play Jacksonville at home, Arizona on the road, Seattle at home, Minnesota on the road, Baltimore on the road, and the 49ers at home. I genuinely believe that they could come out of that stretch 12-5.
But I know what you're getting at here at quarterback. Where will the play of Matt Stafford be at? Because Green Bay on the road has been really hard this year.
Here's the thing.
Baltimore.
I think for them to come out of that, Matt Stafford's play will have to be MVP worthy.
Okay.
And I think that if it is, and if they come out of that stretch at 5-2 or even 6-1, if they somehow manage to beat the Packers or the Ravens on the road, I think it's Stafford because he's got a better narrative than almost anyone in the league right now.
Well, I'm going to argue that with you.
Oh, what a surprise!
Because the guy I've got has won it before 3 years ago, back in 2018.
No.
I'm going to do it.
No.
You look at the quarterback statistics right now. Everybody's just about equal between.
Stop. No.
I'm not picking who would win right now. I'm picking who I think will win in 2 months' time. Stafford, Mahomes, Brady, all have seemingly the same stats. Josh Allen has fallen behind a little bit in terms of passing touchdowns just with that Jacksonville game, the Miami game a few weeks ago as well. But here's the deal. Kansas City, the whole first half of the season we've spent asking, what is wrong with the Chiefs? What is wrong with Patrick Mahomes? And they've had to battle this year. Patrick Mahomes has been tested like he really hasn't been just in terms of the long term. He's had short-term struggles against like Tampa Bay, Indianapolis on the Sunday night game a couple years ago, but he hasn't had the long-term issues that he's had this year, just with receivers dropping passes. Sometimes he's not making the throws he's been able to make, but I think the Vegas game Sunday night started something. I think the Chiefs, they've been in this spot before, like I've said. I think they're going to get on a run, and I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be at the center of that. And by the time all is said and done, the Chiefs could easily have the top spot, maybe the second spot locked up in the AFC, and Patrick Mahomes, his numbers will be good as just about anybody else's, and I think he'll have the narrative to support. And remember, these awards are given out after we've gone through the conference championships, and I think Patrick Mahomes is set up better to win a conference championship than Stafford is. The NFC is loaded, and Stafford is going to have to win some very difficult road games, like Green Bay, like Tampa Bay, if he wants to get the job done. So I think the odds favor Mahomes here. That is my pick, and I'm sticking to it.
You are an idiot.
Okay?
Well, I just said that the Rams are probably going to come out of this season 12-5. Who are they playing on the road before the conference title game?
Baltimore.
No, like
Green
in
Bay.
the playoffs.
In the playoffs. They could easily play. Well, let's see.
Who's going to be better than 12-5 in the NFC, Tyler?
Tampa Bay could.
Could.
Green Bay could.
Could.
Okay.
But if the Rams beat Green Bay in Green Bay.
It's a big if.
And so is the Chiefs making the conference title game.
Oh, it's not.
They're 6-4, dude.
Well, that's why these are projections. This is not just what's based
I
on right
understand,
now.
But like, for them to match a very realistic 12-5 for the Rams, they have to go 6-1 the rest of the way out. There's a chance they could lose to Dallas this Sunday, and then all that MVP hope for your boy is going to go up in smoke, where it should be anyways. And then after that, they've still got to beat the Raiders again. They've still got to beat the Chargers. They've got both the Chargers and the Bengals on the road to close out the year. And you can't count out the Raiders either. So that's 4, maybe 5 if Denver figures something out. Easily losable games.
Get back to me in 2 months.
Oh, I will.
All right.
And you are going to be eating your words when Mahomes finishes 4th in the race behind Stafford, Brady, and Josh Allen.
Offensive Player of the Year should be more unanimous for us, and this time I am going to pick a Ram. Cooper Kupp is having the best receiving season we have seen in a very long time. He's putting up seemingly 10-plus catches for 100-plus yards every single week. Doesn't matter who he plays, and I don't see how that's going to change anytime soon. I mean, he's just miles ahead of the pack, and he's going to win Offensive Player of the Year. So
I originally had Josh Allen, but then I realized that it wasn't really a quarterback's only type of award. And when I really thought about it, Cooper Kupp has seemed to have almost an MVP caliber season. So,
Defensive Player of the Year, I want to pick Trayvon Diggs with those 8 interceptions.
Then do it.
But I don't know if that's sustainable necessarily. I don't know if it's as sustainable as something like sacks, which is what Myles Garrett leads in with 13.
Boy.
And I think he's going to win the award.
You are wrong.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. You don't think the interception space is sustainable. Trayvon Diggs, just this weekend, plays someone who has been a very generous benefactor to defenses so far this year.
Not last week.
Who was he playing last week?
The Raiders. And
who do the Raiders have that is anywhere comparable to Trayvon Diggs anywhere on their defense?
Max Crosby's all right.
Yeah, so there's a chance Trayvon Diggs could have a multi-interception game this Sunday. I'm not saying he will. I'm saying that there is a good chance. And if he does that on the national TV, CBS 325 slot, when he's already on pace to break the NFL record for interceptions in the season, like, who else? You can't possibly give it to a guy who's leading the league in sacks. That's not how it works. You always give the award to a record breaker over anyone else. Always.
I don't think he's going to break any kind of records. I don't.
Why not?
Because I don't think he's going to be able to hold that pace. Interceptions is a a difficult thing to hold over a 17-game season.
I agree.
And I think sacks are much easier to keep going.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see how it plays out.
Talk to me in 2 months.
Yep, there you go. Exactly. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Same argument that I made for Cooper Kupp. Jamar Chase is looking to break some serious records. He has faltered a little bit the last couple of games, but as far as rookie receivers go, he's the best we've seen in quite some time. Justin Jefferson was really good last year, but Chase is on about the same pace, scoring a little bit more touchdowns than he was. So I think he'll get it done.
Interesting.
What do you have? Mac Jones?
I have Mac Jones.
Oh, gosh.
No.
No.
Hear me out.
No.
Hear me out. He's one of the most efficient passers in the league right now, after being the most efficient passer last year in college. And he is probably going to lead the Patriots to a playoff spot, potentially a division title.
Not the division. No, not the division.
He could.
No.
Well, let's check the standings right now, shall we? So currently in the AFC East, we are looking at the NFL tab. Well, let me get to these standings. Patriots are a game back. Bills are half game back. Bills are 6-3. New England's 6-4. The Patriots, for the rest of this year, play Buffalo at Buffalo and Buffalo at home, as well as Miami in their final game of the year. If they go 2-1 in those games, they probably win the division. And if they win the division, you give it to Mac Jones.
We'll see how Cincinnati finishes.
Oh,
I don't know. Get back to me in 2 months. We'll just keep saying that at the end of each one we disagree with. I don't know. I don't think Mac Jones has the explosiveness that Jamar Chase does.
Yeah, that's because he's a quarterback. He doesn't need the explosiveness. He's got the wins.
He's a quarterback. Yes, he's supposed to win. Jamar Chase doesn't necessarily account for wins and losses, but he still puts up much more ridiculous numbers than Jones does.
That's because he's in an offense built for it.
Well, Brady won MVPs in the New England offense.
I'm not saying Mac Jones for MVP. Offensive Rookie of the Year and MVP are 2 very different things.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, Micah Parsons, Cowboys. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't even really look up the stats. I just kind of looked up the odds.
Yeah, I think he's been the highest rated rookie defender this year, so it's a pretty easy one. Comeback Player of the Year, another Cowboy, Dak Prescott, coming off the awful season-ending leg injury last year to put up nearly MVP-worthy numbers this season. We'll see how he ends the year. But Dak Prescott's the guy.
Dak's obviously the comeback player of the year.
Oh, yeah. Coach of the Year. I don't know if you looked into this one at all, but
a little bit.
Tennessee has lost Derrick Henry. Yep. Mike Vrabel hasn't won it before, hasn't even been nominated. So, Mike Vrabel. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, the fact that he's not only kept Tennessee afloat in the playoff race, but a serious contender is a testament to just how good of a coach he is and how good of a team that they've built down in Tennessee, and I think he wins the award hands down.
That's it for NFL. I'll run through some other housekeeping items real quick before we get to what is happening. Major League Baseball had some awards. Randy Arozarena and Jonathan India are your AL and NL Rookies of the Year, respectively. Kevin Cash and Gabe Kapler of the Rays and the Giants are your AL and NL Managers of the Year, respectively. Noah Syndergaard signed a 1-year, $21 million deal with the Angels. Anaheim finally going after a starting pitcher after all this time, signing big-name bats. Eduardo Rodriguez signed with the Tigers yesterday, 5 years, $77 million, and there are some rumors that Detroit might go after Carlos Correa. And then Jose Barrios signed a big extension with the Toronto Blue Jays, 7 years, $131 million. Some college basketball as well. Number 1 Gonzaga took down 5th-ranked Texas, 86-74 Saturday night behind 37 Drew Timme points. Seton Hall upset 4th-ranked Michigan 67-65 last night, and Marquette knocked off 10th-ranked Illinois 67-66 on Monday. And then last night, Creighton painted the Cornhusker State blue with a victory over Nebraska at Pinnacle Bank Arena, 77-69 last night.
And we've got a couple good games this Saturday as well in the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off tournament. Villanova and Tennessee will play in the first round of that, and then North Carolina and Purdue will play as well. And then the winners of those 2 games, I believe, will play on Sunday.
All right. Ready to close this thing out?
What is happening? And the answer is something very fun in college basketball aside from all the games. It kind of seemed like a Mad Libs headline when I first read it. Coach Mike Krzyzewski's grandson and potential top 5 draft pick involved in DWI arrest. Coach Mike Krzyzewski, of course, the great Duke coach, quite possibly the greatest coach of all time, to be perfectly honest, in college basketball. Maybe John Wooden has an argument, but what Krzyzewski's done in so many different eras of college basketball is incredible. And he's done it with far less all-time talent than Wooden has as well. But his grandson and potential NBA draft pick, Paolo Banchero, who looked very good in Duke's opening night win, they did some illegal stuff. So that is happening. And that didn't stop Banchero from starting in a game last night, though. So make of that what you will. But yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, there you go. College basketball, just a weekend, and it's already a
Chaos.
flipping good time.
Yep.
All
and
right.
the Steelers tied the Lions.
And Steelers tied the Lions. There's that, too.
I was watching the game with my dad, and the Steelers got it to like 12 seconds left. They were right in field goal range. It was like, were you watching the game at all?
Oh, yes. I was watching the whole thing.
Yeah, so they were maybe like a yard back from where the field goal target line was on the broadcast, and I was like, why even run another play? The way this game is going, just get the kicker out there now. They ran another play. Pat Freiermuth fumbled the ball. The Lions recovered, and we had our first tie of the NFL season. Unlike most of the players in that game, though, we know when to wrap things up, so we're going to do that now. Thank you all for listening. Make sure to tune in next Wednesday?
Well,
No.
we go on break Wednesday.
Well, we have one.
Yeah,
Tuesday afternoon, maybe?
Monday's going to be the Thanksgiving thing.
Tuesday afternoon, perhaps?
Possibly.
All right, so
We'll see what we look like.
we might have one next week. Depends on our Thanksgiving schedules. But speaking of that, if we're not back next week, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy all the sports. And Tyler, go ahead and close us out.
All right. See you next week, hopefully. If not, be sure to tune in to Creighton Prep Winter Sports Media Day on Sunday, November 28th. We'll be interviewing basketball coaches and players, swimming, wrestling, and
Bowling.
Not powerlifting, bowling.
Yeah,
Bowling. So, those 4 sports. We'll have interviews. We'll do some photo shoots as well. Maybe get some GIFs, however you want to say them, for the CPSN Twitter. So that should be a good time, Sunday, November 28th. And we might live stream as well, so be sure to check that out. In any event, we'll see you at worst then, maybe next week. Enjoy your weekend. Watch some football, watch some basketball, watch some hockey, and
listen to some podcasts.
Yep, and keep an eye on the baseball as well. We might see a lot more deals done than usual as we try to wrap things up before the collective bargaining agreement and potential lockdown on December 1st. So could see a lot more action than usual here in November. So keep an eye on it. We'll have it all covered for you, and we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend.